I mean, Jung talked about individuation in a couple of different ways that are all related. But one of the ways I think that you're getting at is it's this development of the personality that happens over the course of a lifetime, which is one of the things that sets Jung apart as a theorist, because most psychoanalytic theorists were really focusing on personality development as a function of early childhood, which is very much Freud's take on it.
Yeah.
Erik Erikson, obviously, with his stages of development that across the lifespan, is another example of someone who looked at growth across the lifespan. But this idea that we continue to grow and change and develop is a pretty important idea. So it doesn't stop once you're 18. In fact, some of the most important changes in the individuation process happen at midlife. So the stuff that you're talking about, these kinds of big personality, I don't know if it's a personality shift, but it's a real change that happens even in later life. And I think intuitively, we all see that. We're not the same person that we were when we were 15. So and individuation does take a certain amount of openness to integrating things that had been in the unconscious. So it might be aspects of the shadow. And in fact, that would be a primary one. And of course, the shadow was Jung's idea that there are these parts of our personalities that are sort of disallowed, often by culture or a family, in a sort of normal way. I mean, you can't go around bashing people on the head, so when you're a little kid and you bash someone on the head, your mom takes the toy away and scolds you and gives you a timeout, Okay, but then your aggression kind of goes in the shadow, as it needs to. But lots of stuff winds up going in the shadow that might actually be, helpful and important. And that part of what happens over the course of development is that we reclaim that shadow stuff. So that's an aspect of individuation. And then you asked about anima and animus. So Jung felt that we're all sort of non-binary, if you will, that we all contain masculine and feminine elements, that every woman has within her a kind of psychological man, and every man has within him a sort of psychological woman. And that this was a really important aspect. It's both an archetype and a functional complex, is what Jung would say. And so the anima or the animus, one of the roles is that it's what Jung called a psychopomp, that which kind of leads into the interior. It has a quality of fascination to it, and it's that aspect that we project onto the other when we fall in love. You can't really integrate the anima or the animus because it's into consciousness, because it's an archetype. So you can't ever fully integrate it, but it is an important content to come to terms with, to engage with, even to develop in a kind of conscious way, so that a woman is, for psychological wholeness, should develop her masculine side. I'm going to use quotes. And a man should develop his feminine side. Now, it's thorny, and I think when we talk about qualities that are feminine and qualities that are masculine, there are probably some elements of that are just purely kind of cultural stereotypes.
Yeah.
But I think there might be some elements in there too that we could say, well, no, that is more associated with women. Or that quality is, we know that men in general are more aggressive than women.
Yeah.
And we know, there's a big body of research that shows that women tend to be more agreeable than men.
Yeah.
There's a question. Are women more agreeable because we're socialized to be more agreeable?
Yeah. That's the follow-up question that always comes when you talk about these things.
Right. And so we're off in the weeds right away with anima and animus. It's a very difficult topic to talk about because what are we really saying here? I spend a lot of time trying to kind of parse this and think about it, and I don't know that I've sort of found anything really perfect about it, but I do, well, it can be helpful sometimes to think about it as yin and yang. Let's say, for example, scraping away the kind of masculine feminine language. Let's say that there is a woman who has a lot of yang energy. And I know women like this, young women who are really, they're gunners, they're aggressive, they're confident, which is great.
Yeah.
But over the course of her lifetime, to become more whole, she'll have to develop more of that yin energy. And a man who's very kind of soft and introverted and very yin, to become more whole, he'll have to develop his yang energy.
Yeah.